Hello, everybody. Let me fix the webcam because it looks weird. Hello. Welcome, Mr. Jake D. Shenanigans indeed. We're about to get into some shenanigans. But we are also going to get into a lot of Orville Season 3 news and some cool ideas that we might see in the upcoming season. So definitely stick around and listen to that. And just before we get into anything, we have our fellow Nerdporeal, Mr. NerdporalLifeform. Say hello.
Hey, it says scheduled. It doesn't say live on the screen.
That's strange. We're live right now, though.
Are
We're
we?
all good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. How you doing? How's everyone?
Doing good. Everyone's here. We got Mr. Tim. Welcome, Tim. Spock on, bro. And we got Jake D, Pacific 414, Black Dragon, and it's cutting off your text. Sorry, everybody. Trying out a new thing today. Seems to be doing alright, though. And we have Leia Rose. I believe. Yep, Leia Rose. Hello. It's good to see you. And we had Son of a Red Shirt earlier. It's good that he came by. Thanks for stopping by, man. And it's good to see everyone here. So, yeah, we're going to go into some Orville Season 3. Now, I know some people maybe haven't seen the show, but I have a good feeling that a lot of everyone here have seen it. So that's good. I can't wait to go into this. What about you, Mr. Nerd?
Oh, same here. I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's going to be an upcoming project. I mean, I want to do a layman's guide to the Orville for people who haven't seen it right before the new season comes out.
Indeed, it's going to be good. I think we're going to see definitely a lot of, Mocklins leaving the Union, something around those lines, because if anyone here has seen the show in seasons 1 and 2, there are a lot of hints that the Mocklins are, at a weird confrontation with the Union when it comes to certain ethnic beliefs and, because I think in one of the episode, Clyden literally stabbed Bortus through the heart just as a divorce.
I just watched that. They're like, oh, when we divorce, we just kill our mates because that's what we do. I mean, this is definitely a Seth MacFarlane show. Like they come up with the most ridiculous ideas and they implement them in a way that's really, really funny. So, and the same with, I mean, just the idea of a race that basically forces a race that basically forces a single sex. So all the Mocklins are men, and if anyone's born a woman, they get like the baby will be changed.
Yeah, and
like government.
That was a very Star Trek-y episode, wouldn't you agree? Because there was a lot of debate, and there was even a court scene in that episode, which was very similar to the scene where Picard is trying to stand for Data's rights as sentient. So it was pretty cool to see that little parallel there. But let's get into this article by the Cinemaholic. It says the Orville Season 3 release date, new plot, and cast details. So it goes on saying, created by Seth MacFarlane, The Orville is a comedy drama series that centers around the spacecraft USS Orville, an exploratory vehicle that's commissioned to travel across the galaxy for planetary exploration and civilization studies. Set in the 25th century, the show follows the members of the Orville mission, especially Captain Ed Mercer and Commander Kelly Grayson. So what do you think of those two so far as the main kind of spotlight of the show, kind of sharing it, which is pretty cool, something we haven't seen a lot, maybe with only Jean-Luc and, Riker.
Before I go in any further, can we share this? Can we share this share the screen or something?
How so? Let me see.
So that the chat can see it. If you have an additional screen.
Maybe put it in the chat and I can bring it up in the private chat.
I can share it. I have additional monitor right here. So, okay. Can I share it?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how though. Yeah, go ahead and go live. Maybe I can bring it up here.
All right, it's
right, there it is.
All right, so I'll zoom down to where you were. So you were right here. So, but yeah, to answer your question, I think this is the first time that we have a husband and wife. First time we have a husband and wife as the captain and commander of a ship. And so part of the comedy comes from just their dysfunction. I mean, they recently got a divorce, mainly because Ed is, working late hours and he's not there for his wife. And then his wife, well, spoiler alert, his wife sleeps with a blue alien, and the way the blue alien has a orgasm is all of the pores just like shoot out blue liquid all over the body. It's a weird thing. So all the sheets. So if you have white sheets, they won't stay white for long. I'll say that. They'll turn blue. So, but yeah, basically the idea is just, the main story is just to get them to help them mend their relationship and somehow work together to, get Ed back on his feet. I mean, the reason why he's the captain of the Orville is because she recommended it to the Admiral Halsey. So, yeah. And that's how the show begins. So, and then this last season, their absence, them never meeting, which was the big twist with part 2. The fact that they never met had very serious implications for the galaxy, because in this show there's a supervillain called the Kalon. They're a bunch of sentient robots, or not robots, they're sentient AI. One of the characters, Isaac, is one of them. And they, like your typical man versus machine, they want to kill everything and destroy. And they're basically they're the supervillain of this series. And they conquer the galaxy as a result. So they have to, like a typical Brandon Braga two-parter or something, they go back in time and they have to fix the timeline. So that's where we leave off in season 2. And so their union, Kelly and Ed, is very important for the show and for the fate of the galaxy. So I can't wait to see what they're going to do with season 3.
Right, because it's not much of a spoiler at this point. The show's been out for a long time. During the end of the show, it's kind of hinted that if these two didn't get together and get married and eventually help each other to work on a starship together, Earth would have been destroyed. So it's kind of setting up that these two are set up by fate to save the galaxy, like you said. So that's going to be very interesting to see where that takes place in the next season and what other threats they might encounter.
Yeah, I mean, they're like Luke Skywalker in the Star Wars galaxy. They're that important. So I can't wait to see what they do further. But yes. So do you want to go? Do you want to keep going, or do you want to talk about?
Yeah, let's go. Oh, we can talk about the Moclans, right? Because we mentioned the Kalon earlier. They are most likely gonna maybe. Well, it's probably a hard guess. I don't think they might be able to team up with the Kalon, because the Kalon just view everything as, inferior to them.
I know that's what is established now, and I know where you're coming from. I actually thought of that myself. But what I'm thinking is, in order to beat the humans, the Terrans, the people from Earth, they're the ones that actually stood up to them and exposed them. And basically, one of their own, Isaac, more or less defected to them. So there's going to be a special, unique hatred for the people of Earth. And so they want to eradicate them first. So I'm thinking they're probably going to change their philosophy, their programming, and they're going to probably work with they're probably going to try to entice either the Moclans or the Krill to ally themselves. So it's going to be kind of like the Dominion going to Cardassia. And I'm guessing the Moclans are going to kind of be like the Cardassians.
That's very possible. Yeah, I think that could happen for sure, because I'm not putting it out of the realm, because it's very possible that the Moclans could team up with the Kalon. It's just going to be very hard, right? Because of their prejudice in a way, because they're robots. They don't really have prejudice, but in a way they do. They kind of view themselves as superior to everything else. So it's going to be a tough alliance.
They murdered all their creators. I don't know if it was because their creators simply mishandled them, abused them, but we do know that they did murder all they murdered all the people on the planet. The little boy, I forget his name, the younger son of Claire, Dr. Claire, finds the finds the stack of bones in the underground on their planet. So
Right.
So
that was a very scary scene, right? Because they especially the little kid, Marcus, I believe, he just had no clue how to understand what he was seeing. Just skeletons, fields of skeletons, all scattered throughout underneath the. And imagine how, like, when they first were talking about that just gave me chills. It's because, like, how did they do that? How did they just manage to incinerate populations like that? That's just really scary.
Yeah, I actually watched parts 1 and 2 together. So I didn't watch the Orville every week. I actually knew that this was going to be a part 1, so I waited on watching it until seeing part 2, or until the week of part 2 came out, and I saw both part 1 and part 2 back to back. I was so blown away. I was like, I haven't felt this way about a show since I watched Babylon 5 or Enterprise or something. Like, I never felt so excited. Like, even I was watching Nutra, I was watching Discovery at the time, and I never felt that way about Discovery. I was okay with Discovery, but and initially, because I wanted to give it a chance, I was hoping, like, it would get better. The thing is, with the current management, like, unlike Trek shows of the past, these shows don't get better, they get worse.
No, they don't.
But I just felt this way. I'm like, wow, this is like Best of Both Worlds part 1 and 2 again. Except this is, in my opinion, this was better. Like, part 1 was great, then part 2 was even better. It was like mixing Best of Both Worlds with the Borg, and then with what's the name of the episode, with the Sacrifice of Angels, episode 6 of season 6 from Deep Space Nine, where they have the big fleet battle to retake Deep Space Nine from the Dominion.
Yeah, I mean, the Best of Both Worlds obviously holds a very strong place in the Star Trek universe as being, I guess, the beginnings of Wolf 359, but it was definitely, like you said, better in some respects when it came to I don't know about choreography, because there wasn't really much fighting and stuff going on, but there were more or less ship battles, right? And the way that they handled those ship battles was very Star Wars, because of how ships were just flying through other ships, and there were tiny ones that Gordon was on and shooting little TIE fighter looking guns. It was cool. It was like mixing in two of those genres.
Fighters. Yeah,
I think Orville is the very, very first show to ever do something like that. And hello, Mr. Alan Copland. It's good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, hey Alan, what's up? How you doing?
Caught us just in time.
But yeah, like Deep Space Nine, I forget if, like, they used Maquis ships in that battle or something. Small ships to take on the Dominion. I don't remember. I have to rewatch it for myself. But it was mostly, starship to starship. So I mean, that's kind of how it is. It was more naval.
Exactly, because they would have like groups of them all lined up together, and they're all just like moving as one giant force. That's how Star Trek presented it, and it was really cool to see that it wasn't like Star Wars where they're all just doing whatever the heck they want to do.
Yeah, exactly. Sound in space. Ben Burt's laser sound, all of Ben Burt's sounds you hear right in space. Of course that would that never happen because sound cannot travel in vacuum. But still awesome, anyways. But but yeah, going back to want to continue the article.
Yeah, let's continue here. We have inspired by the start. Oh wait, I forgot to continue the last part of the paragraph. The encounters that the crew members have with each civilizations make up the content of the show, which is true.
Like that one episode,
you want to add on to that?
Yeah, there was. Remember, there was. I think it was episode 2 of the first season, where they get where Kelly and Ed get captured by. They go into the ship, and the ship was like a trap to capture sentient beings from all over the galaxy, and then they're put in like a zoo or a menagerie, just kind of like the original series, Menagerie with the on Talos 4.
Right.
but instead they're like in a like they're in a giant like Coruscant like planet where like they just have people, like it's a typical zoo, you know, people are walking past, you know, they're just like waving at them and stuff. And I forget, but I think like I forget, but the they go I forget, they go meet the aliens, and like the humans can't talk, so it's like only uh Isaac who is like in command, and all the other people are just like silent the whole time because they won't be
Yeah.
acknowledged. And they basically trade what was it, they trade the freedom of Ed and Kelly for like the whole series of Real Housewives. So everyone's watching Real Housewives and they're all like cat fighting each other, and all the aliens are like, "Woo!"
Yeah,
So
it's
that's the
that
very
was an
first
interesting
encounter.
episode too. Yeah.
That's the very first encounter in the show.
I think that's a civilization we haven't even seen in Star Trek, where they just make a zoo. I mean, maybe the closest would be the Orions, right? But they, instead of making a
The
zoo, they kind of
Telosians, the Telosians
Telosians?
from the cage, the ones with the
That's
big
right. That's
brains,
right.
the
Yeah, I forgot
illusions, yeah,
about
those
that.
guys.
So it continues to say here, inspired by the Star Trek franchise, which is obvious, the Orville is a rare blend of advanced science fiction and a riotous parody of its inspiration. The show first premiered on September 10th, 2017. It garnered unfavorable consensus from the critics for its inaugural season, but it was lauded by the audience for its innovative approach that successfully combines dramatic and comedic elements. So that's interesting.
Oh,
It didn't get
that's not why that's not why the audience liked it. The audience liked it because it resembles Star Trek.
exactly, and I didn't know it was unfavorable when it first came out. That's interesting.
If you look at the Rotten Tomato scores, like it's like at like a 30%, as opposed to the audience score being at like a 85 to a 90%. And yeah, Nerdrotic has covered that quite a bit on his channel. So
I personally
whereas,
don't trust Rotten Tomatoes just because of how biased,
well, I
their
mean, and
voting is.
here's the thing, Star Trek Discovery has a high critics rating but a very very low audience rating. Makes sense? Makes sense now?
Yeah.
So that's the reality of the critics versus the fans. Now, sometimes when the critics say something's bad, I don't necessarily disbelieve that either. So
Yeah.
like if they say the Eternals was bad, and I'm not going to see the Eternals, but if they say the Eternals was bad, I mean, I'm more inclined to agree with them than to see the audience, you know, say that it's a great movie. But then again, there are times where that's wrong, like in this case, the Orville. So, but yeah,
Very wrong.
yes, and I'm gonna look into Ghost. I got my ticket for Ghostbusters to go see it on Thursday, and apparently, I'm hearing that I hear that the nerd journalists are basically, or the critics are really tearing this one up. So I'm gonna find out for myself when I go see
Well,
that.
let me know how it goes. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to see it in theaters soon, so
Yeah,
I'm not even. I'm open to spoilers too. So
yeah, I'm gonna do a reaction stream after I see the movie. So
perfect.
I'll be online on Thursday. So,
Yeah,
but yeah,
definitely.
this
If you guys
was
haven't, go subscribe to Nerd. He just started recently doing a gaming stream on Resident Evil 2, and if you want, you could talk about that a bit. That's been pretty scary, hasn't it?
Resident Evil. Well, I mean, I've played Resident Evil before, but I'm playing it now on hard mode, which means less ammo, less health, more enemies, and more more what do you call it? More jump scares. So like when you get a zombie in that one, if you leave them dead long enough, they mutate into what you call crimson heads, where they get up and then they start running after you. They don't just walk and go. "Ugh," they run after you, and then they growl even louder, and it's scary. But
That's scary. Yeah.
I think I'm
And if
about
you guys haven't,
halfway.
also check out his scary review on The Thing from 1982 that he released yesterday, I believe. So go check that out. I know he worked hard on that, and it turned out to be a really good video.
Yeah, you made a guest appearance in two little clips in the beginning of that video
Yeah, I
from
saw
motion
that.
picture.
I like, for me, I think as of recently, my favorite outfit as his from the motion picture Spock's.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of resembles the original series a little bit. The only difference is the the trousers are not black. The trousers are the same color, I believe.
Same color,
Like
and it's
blue.
more
It's
like a
light
different
blue.
collar around his neck.
But yeah, like they still had the what do you call it? What do you call where it was embroidered? The ranks are embroidered on the wrists. The ranks are embroidered on the wrists. There's like a ring for like lieutenant, another ring for a commander and stuff, and if you have a third ring
Right.
with captain. Well, they still had those, and of course they had the embroidered delta on the chest, whereas
Mm-hmm.
in all the later shows and even the movies, in the later movies, I think it's a pin. They're pinned onto the chest, I think.
Okay.
Like starting with Wrath of Khan.
I was curious, if he ever if that outfit Spock wears, was that only specifically for science officers? Because I don't know, I didn't see that outfit anywhere else except for what he was wearing it.
I'm not sure. I'll have to.
I'll have to double check.
I'll have to read up on the motion picture era.
They definitely,
uniforms.
if Star Trek Online developers are watching, please add that outfit to the game. Because you have the motion out. No, they have I think the Wrath of Khan outfits. I also believe the motion picture for Kirk, but I don't think they have the one he wore, Spock. So that definitely add that one to the game. But the article continues here saying the second season earned praise for its unique narrative. Season 2 ends in a brilliant showdown and offering the viewers a spellbinding experience. As the long-awaited third season is getting all set for the premiere, here's everything we know about it. And I'm not sure, am I able to show these clips without the audio and everything?
I don't see why not.
Alright, we're just gonna watch quickly.
I really wish they'd let us play music up here.
Is there no way to expand it?
Go by a lot faster.
Guess not.
You don't know how this...
So, I noticed that a lot of the dialogue in this little teaser, some of it is from Season 2, but I can't help but notice that there's some I don't recognize.
I thought
That's
it was all
probably...
I thought it was all Season 3. I thought it was all new Season 3 stuff.
Some of them are from Season 2. I've noticed. Let me see if I can hear it.
Or even a month from now.
If you know off the top of your mind, I'm interested to know.
To have caused you distress.
It's probably gonna come up.
And pretend that didn't just happen.
People are scared, Captain. Your crew is scared.
Show the galaxy that humans are different, that we value
I think it was in the beginning. I might have missed
even
it.
when our enemies don't. You will be silent.
So the ending of the clip shows that there is a new character introduced. Because did you hear that voice saying, I think, talking to Ed Mercer? I never heard of that voice before, so I think there's a new character introduced in the season, which is going to be interesting to see. Could you take any guesses on who that was? It sounded like, what's her name? I'm so bad with actress names. It could be anyone really, so let's just let the comments decide who do you guys think that sounds like.
All sections reporting heavy damage.
Captain, the quantum core has been breached.
You will surrender or you will die.
They have Ann Winters joining season 3 as a character named Charlie Burke, and she was in the show 13 Reasons Why as Chloe Rice, according to this article. And then they also are bringing in Eliza Taylor, who plays Clark Griffin in the 100. She was the blonde, I believe. I've only seen like an episode or two of the 100. So,
that's going to be very interesting to see that. Crazy to see what characters you're going to play. It says on top of the clip, it says on May 11, 2019, Fox announced the renewal of the Orville for a third season, which in my opinion took way too long. I mean, obviously of COVID and everything, it must have slowed things down, production wise. So we probably would have got season 3 a little bit earlier. My only problem with this is, how is Discovery getting a season 5 already now? It's just, and these shows kind of started at the same time.
Did they confirm a season 5?
don't think it's confirmed, but I know season 4 is definitely coming.
Question is, who's paying for it?
Because
I mean,
question.
like Netflix, I think was supposed to cover the first 3 seasons, and they didn't want that, and then Amazon they would not cover Picard, so Amazon took it, Amazon took it, and they weren't too thrilled about it from what I've been hearing. So, oh well.
Oh well, indeed, yeah. Because who knows? Because from what it seems to me, the Discovery show is held by a contract that's very powerful, so it probably allows the show to have 7 seasons.
More powerful than you can possibly imagine.
More powerful than the snap of Q. Imagine that.
There you go. Who's going to be in season 2 of Picard?
And it says here, due to the change in network's enormous production design and global pandemic, the filming of the 3rd season was filmed with challenges and obstacles. Okay, so there you go. It was explaining why this took too long. So it was mainly because of the enormous production design. Interesting. So they decided to step it up a notch, it sounds like, in this season.
Oh yeah, I've heard from other fans that have actually went and visited the Orville sets and stuff. Like, they were like, and they had to sign a non-disclosure based on what they saw, but the attitude was just like, oh, we're all going to be in for a treat. So I'm very
I can't wait, man. I really can't wait. I'm excited. The crew and the fans were frustrated alike by the slow pace of the production, as we were, increasing the never-ending wait for the new installment. After several interruptions in the filming for the 3rd season, the production finally wrapped on August 11th, 2021. Oh, thank God. So they have it all filmed, and rest in peace, Norm Macdonald. They actually got Norm before he passed away, so I'm actually happy to hear that Yaphet's going to be in this season, but at the same time, I am missing my man Norm.
Yeah, same here.
And Pacific says, I'm not paying for it. He's not going to pay for Discovery.
Paramount Plus.
Yeah. I don't blame you, buddy.
Yeah, it's just not worth it.
And this last sentence goes on to say the 3rd season of the show is officially titled The Orville New Horizons. And we'll talk about that in a bit, why they decided to change the name. And we'll have 11 episodes. Okay. So I believe that's shorter than the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, I think the last season 2 was 14 episodes, and I think season 1 was 13, 14, 15, in that ballpark.
Right.
So I'm guessing these episodes are going to be longer too. Like, this is going to be like an hour long, as opposed to the Fox or the television, the standard 43-minute episode length, which is typical of network shows on TV because of commercials and everything.
Yeah. So
these episodes are going to probably be longer, and I'll be honest, New Horizons, giving it a new name maybe makes this maybe this will be more serialized, kind of. I mean, it won't be self-contained. I mean, it's going to follow up on the last season, but I'm thinking it's going to be more serialized compared to other seasons. I mean, there'll still be like exploration and stuff, but I think the writing's going to be a little more interwoven with each other in a good way. They're not going to just like New Trek conveniently forget things.
Right.
Have a every season have a different universe-ending calamity, and then Michael Burnham solves it, and then rinse and repeat for the next season, and never talk about what happened in the previous
dealing with
season
the
ever
writers
again.
like that we see. I don't think we have to ever worry about something like that. But you could be right. Maybe this season's gonna tie into one giant story, which personally I'm not a huge fan of. But if they make it work, then I'm all for it. And I with the writers that they got, I'm pretty sure they could make it work, no problem. And it would be cool to still have that, theme of every episode kind of dealing with a different scenario, but kind of what the Xindi attack and in Voyager, the whole voyage home kind of ordeal, there's some like undertone of something continuing from all of the episodes, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think the Kalon threat's going to be the major factor in this season. Now, I don't know if this will conclude that or if this will be building something, setting something up for an explosive season 4, assuming we get a season 4.
Right.
But honestly, I mean, it's up in the air with what to expect. I mean, do I think the what is Boris's people called again? I'm having a brain fart.
The
Mocklins.
Mocklins.
I think the Mocklins and the Kalon are gonna have some sort of alliance, like the Cardassians and the Dominion did. And I think there's gonna be tension with the Krell, or the Krill, because
What if I threw this at you? Instead of the Kalon and the Mocklins realize that there's no chance in hell they can ever work out some kind of alliance with them, instead they work out something with the Krill.
The Kalon?
No, the Mocklins.
So there'd be the Kalon on one side, and then there would be the Krell and the Krill and the Mocklins on another. So it'd be like a three-way.
And then the Union would be left as, less defended, so they only have a handful of other species helping them with their governments.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that would be a very interesting turn.
Because
I think
maybe that's like the worst case scenario, but I think it's very possible that they could align themselves with the Kalon for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that too.
Mike says it could deal with the Kalon and alterations to the timeline. That's very true. Maybe not everything was completely restored.
I mean, do we see the restored ship at the end, or does it just end with? I think it just ends.
It just ends with the date.
Kelly and going on the date, so we don't really see.
Best ending in my opinion. Gives you chills. It's like, oh wow, like if she didn't say those 2 words, there goes Earth.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. So, but yeah, like one thing maybe I'll bring this up now that we talked earlier about. I would like to see, and I might have talked about this on another stream. I would love to see, if it's possible, I'd love to see Mr. Shatner make an appearance on the Orville as a legendary retired admiral who everybody knows.
That would be perfect.
Who everybody knows, everyone on the Orville, like he's one of Ed's, biggest, heroes growing up, for good reason, and he gets involved in one last hurrah to kind of wash the taste of Star Trek Generations out of our mouths and stuff. Give him a last hurrah. I mean, he went into outer space for a few minutes. If he can go into outer space for a few minutes, I'm sure he can be insured to do. He can be insured to do a 2-parter of the Orville. Now, would that ever happen? No. But what's funny was when I saw Wrath of Khan a few years ago at the that Mr. Shatner was hosting in Chicago, somebody actually during the Q&A asked him if he was going to be on the Orville, and you know what William Shatner said? He says, "I don't know no Seth MacDonald. Like, who's the Seth MacDonald guy? I don't know who he is. Like, I've never heard of him."
Seth MacDonald.
So he literally says Seth MacDonald. I'm like, oh boy. He's giving us the old, spin.
He mixed up Seth and Norm together.
Exactly, yeah. So, would I love that to happen? Yes. Do I think it will? No.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, that would be probably my favorite episode if they ever did that. Because imagine he walks onto the bridge and it's like
steal the show.
I don't know, he steals the entire spotlight. Because everyone in the ship just starts looking at him in amazement, like,
yes,
like he's on our ship.
That's exactly how I imagined it too. So, and then maybe he takes command. Maybe he takes command of the Orville for a brief bit. Mm-hmm. Kind of like how he did in the Enterprise B, when the commander was kind of he had no idea what to do, and so Kirk kind of takes over.
Yep.
In the beginning of Generations, I'm thinking of Generations again. Jeez.
Or remember Mark Jameson from The Next Generation, where he's just like on a endeavor to get revenge on this one guy, and he makes himself younger, and he turns himself into like a younger teen just to take full command of the Enterprise. I was just like,
yeah, I remember that one. Yeah,
it could
Admiral,
be.
yeah.
No, I don't want to say it's something similar to that, but there's something that involves William Shatner into taking command of the Orville, right? And kind of putting Seth in this weird position where I looked up to this guy, but now he's bossing me around.
yeah. So there's a little. You have to have a little tension. You have to have a little. You just have to have a little, conflict going on, and then of course it gets resolved. And then I would think that Shatner or Kirk or whoever Kirk's alter ego in the Orville universe would be, would basically die a hero.
Yep. And if they're gonna kill him, don't make him fall off a bridge, please.
Don't have him get stabbed in the gut, thrown and falling off the bridge. Don't have him, become or have a forced heart attack, or like in Picard, just die and then come back as a robot, like a few minutes later. Or the Kirk or even better, the Kirk in Star Trek Into Darkness. He dies in place of how
and Spock,
how
because
you
Spock
died,
was supposed to be there, yeah.
How your character dies, and
he just lets out a mighty roar, Spock.
Yeah, and you know how Kirk comes back to life? Because Khan had that magic blood that brings people back to life, because that's what Khan has.
Yeah, not my favorite story. I mean, the trilogy itself is just not my favorite because of how childish the cast acts and how the adults... I mean, Critical Drinker said it the best. It's like the adults left the bedroom and they left the TV and the remote to the kid. Now the kid is basically controlling everything. It's just...
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It's ridiculous, that's why I couldn't really get into the 2009 trilogy other than the cool cinematography, like when Kirk was watching the Enterprise being built. I thought that was honestly the most genuinely cool scene in the entire movie.
I did. I mean, there were still things I did like about that movie. I mean, I initially liked the action of the movie. It was a nice little change, but then after watching it again, like over and over again, it got less and less. I liked it less and less. So
yeah.
But I liked that, and I liked how McCoy kind of explains how he gets the name Bones. He's like, "Oh, my wife took everything except for my bones." I thought that was an interesting little play on.
Yeah, I
Bones,
thought that was good too. Like, now that you bring that up, that was a good scene.
But I'm sure
for
that
me
was
though, to be honest, my favorite actor, other than I love Simon Pegg, but I thought Carl Urban did a great job as McCoy.
Oh, Carl, yeah, definitely. Carl Urban, he wasn't in it enough. Like, instead of him being the third character, it was freaking Uhura who was the third character, and she was mostly insufferable throughout most of these movies. She's like talking back to Kirk, and she's talking back to Spock, and like she's under them. Like, you don't talk like that to your superior officer. But then again, like you said, this is made for kids. You have freaking Tig Notaro telling Pike to stick it up his ass. And then she's like, "Oh, sir." I'm like,
"Sir, sorry,
I
sir."
literally face
Stick up your ass, sir.
That. Yeah, I heard that. I'm like, really? I'm like, who's writing this? Oh, wait.
It's just because good stories don't make a lot of money, unfortunately, because the entire audience these days have become ultra lazy. They just want something that they can eat popcorn to and then go to sleep and continue their job.
You know where good stories come from, and then I'm not the first one to come up with this. Better YouTubers, a lot of more insightful people have come up with this. Reason why good stories come up is because of lack of budget or lack of money. Like, they have to really work. The writers have to really work hard to make an episode that is, doesn't need to use all these special, set pieces and stuff, and they can still make a compelling, narrative out of it. And nowadays they just throw money at everything. I mean, look, New Trek, they just throw like millions of dollars. Like they're following the Game of Thrones. It
passed in areas we don't care about. It passed in certain respects to make money, which as an audience we just don't give a crap about. We don't care how good the CGI was on a scale from 1 to 10. I mean, I don't know exactly how they judge it, but they judge these films putting aside the story just to see if it checks certain marks. So if the CGI is realistic, that's a check. If the story and the way that it's shot looks like an actual high budget movie, that's checked. There's obviously more articulate ways of how they judge it, but it's basically that. They don't care about how good the story is. Whatever is going to make money, whatever is going to basically attract mainly children, because if children love the shows, their parents are going to buy it. They're going to buy tons of it. So
kids do not like these shows.
They would not like Discovery. I'm sure.
I would not want to watch. As a kid, I would not want to watch poor Icheb's eye get ripped out on screen.
No, like, it's very unnecessarily gritty. I mean, gritty in some respects works for Star Trek, but to an extent, and if it makes sense, because an opening scene of someone's eye just getting ripped out, that's not Star Trek. Maybe if it was happening on a Klingon bridge, okay, but they showed it more on
they wouldn't show
a Romulan bridge or something.
Yeah, I mean,
Romulans don't do that.
I mean, there's an episode with Geordi, Mind's Eye, where they like drill into.
They just
his
like
head,
kind of drill into his head.
I mean, it's TV. There's sensors and stuff. They can't do everything they want. They can't get away with stuff like that. So they can't show it. So, and then it's kind of how I was. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Star Trek is for everyone. It's for adults. Adults can enjoy it. I love it. I love it more as an adult, but I liked it as a kid too, because it really stimulates the imagination. I mean, I really love the original series, because the original series, just like the cheesy sets, just left a lot of room for the imagination and stuff. It made me interested. It was almost like watching a cartoon, almost, with the colors, like how colorful the original series was.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were monsters, there were people in costumes and stuff, but at the same time, it was a humane story. It wasn't like your typical cartoon where you beat the bad guys and move on to the next thing. There was an attempt at trying to connect and trying to be empathetic to your enemies. Like in that episode with the Horda in the original series, Devil in the Dark. And that kind of that kind of really started that whole thing. And of course, Aaron of Mercy with the first appearance of the Klingons, the whole idea was, not to want war. And an incorporeal alien race put a stop to their war. So, I mean, it was trying to be humane. It was trying to say that humanity we can overcome these things.
Yeah,
overcome these things and at the same time go on to the universe and learn about it and forge more relationships with more species in the galaxy. I mean, that's what Star Trek is.
Yeah, I agree. I 100 and wholeheartedly agree with that. We definitely should make another. I think the next Trek Talk episode, we'll have you in. We'll definitely go into New Trek, because I don't want to go into that one alone. That's something I would love to bounce off with other people.
I'd have to rewatch it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm unfortunately gonna have to say the same here, just so I can tell you why it's bad.
I mean,
but
there were some moments I liked, but I mean, it's mostly forgettable stuff.
Yeah, so for me, not to go too much on a tangent, let's read what Seth MacFarlane said about the Orville, because this was posted, I think not too long ago. Let me open this, see when he posted that. I think it was a while ago, actually. Yeah, it was a while ago. This is his Instagram page. Open the post. So this gives us a good idea of when they stopped filming. I think they actually, never mind, they already said, if I scroll back up.
Right here. And this is a wrap on season 3 of The Orville. Thank you to our incomparable cast and crew for their tireless and brilliant work. And I sincerely hope this is not the last time we all go to space. # The Orville. This was August, I think. He only has.
Yeah, I was trying to scroll
862,000
up to see because
followers,
they mentioned it earlier.
It's August 11th, 2021, is when it officially wrapped.
Okay, and and the show is set to premiere on March 10th on 2022, which is a while from now, but at least we have a date, you know.
So
But
hopefully,
yeah, it's interesting that he said this. I sincerely hope this is not the last time we go to space. I find that very intriguing that he said that. I hope
so
that
it's up in
was
the air.
not pressured.
I'm guessing they're gonna wait and see how the Orville. I mean, how the Orville.
I guess they're just skeptical on how good this is gonna do, you know, because of what's happened so far with COVID pushing back all their plans. They're not sure they're gonna get such a good rating because of how delayed it's been. But I think as a fan personally of Star Trek, and I'm sure you can agree, we're excited to see this show happening nonetheless.
I mean, I'm gonna release my video the week before. Try to tell people, hey, come on, let's watch the show. You know.
Exactly, yeah, because watch parties is definitely a good idea to get started on if nobody has seen this show yet. And season 3 just around the corner, I definitely recommend starting to watch this show. And it says here,
I'd love to do a weekly
season 3 cast.
Yeah, I'd love to do a weekly after show.
Yeah, weekly would be great because then you could just discuss each episode with whoever you wanted to, really. Because for me, I've noticed that when I used to just watch the episodes and that's it, I kind of didn't retain too much. But when I actually had my friend watch with me and we kind of talked about it after the episode ended, it sticks with you a lot more, and those episodes become a lot more memorable because of all the hidden messages that are laid in them.
Yeah, there are things that there's a lot of things that I don't pick up on that other people have picked up on. So it kind of balances itself out. So like I agree with that. You actually get more. You pick up more as you do this. So as you watch with other people.
And John says Hulu is a part of Disney, so I'd be skeptical as the future of Orville if I were Seth too. And that's true. You know, I'm not too happy that they're under Hulu, right? But this means at least that we don't have to deal with, unless you're paying with Hulu for ads, you don't have to deal with advertisements or
I don't think we're actually, is not worth it.
Yeah. It's like what, $12 a month? I have just the normal $6.
I mean, the $6 one is not worth it. You would rather get the $12 one where you get no interruptions.
Yeah, that's true.
I've watched stuff for free that had that same amount of ads. And like, what the heck is this? Come on.
I know, it's really frustrating, but you know, now that it's a part of Hulu, what would you say some of its benefits are?
Well, like I said earlier, the episodes will be longer. I think, honestly, there will be a little bit more. I mean, I'm not sure what the range of creative control is, but I'm guessing there's going to be more control. I'm guessing they're going to take more risks, and there's going to be a higher budget. So I'm guessing there's going to be more, like I said, serialized episodes. There's probably going to be more battles. There's probably going to be more higher budget episodes, important episodes, kind of like Identity. I've heard that basically the whole season is going to be like Identity parts 1 and 2. I don't know how true it is, but if that's the case, my head's going to explode.
Yeah, that's true. Oh man, I can't wait. It says the season 3 will return in the main cast, right? We'll see the main cast again in this season 3. Seth MacFarlane as Ed Mercer. I don't know how to pronounce that name. Adrian
Palicki.
Adrian Palicki, Commander Kelly Grayson, and Penny Johnson Gerald, as we all know, as also in Deep Space Nine, Cassidy Yates. And we have Scott Grimes playing as Lieutenant Gordon Malloy, who is one of my favorite characters in the show. And
he's grown on me quite a bit. Like he kind of starts off as the awkward, telling a joke at the wrong time type of guy, but his character grows on you. I mean, I really like that episode where he meets the woman from the phone and stuff. I thought that was a great episode with him, and of course, he
It
had an
shows you
awesome
what
role in
kind of
Identity
guy he
Part
is,
2.
really.
And he had a role in Identity Part 2. He brought the freaking green Krell X-wing fighters to fight them, and I thought that was awesome. So it was cool seeing that. So like all these characters are great. Like they all have something to add, and I mean it's pretty balanced. I mean it's more true to the how the Trek shows of the TNG era were. The original series. I mean it was mainly Spock, McCoy, and Kirk. But like this is more, and that's the only thing I dislike about the original series is it didn't give more time to like Uhura and Sulu and Chekhov and even Scotty. But what can I say? I mean,
Yeah.
it's for what they still managed to do. I mean, despite that, they are Star
I
Trek.
mean, that episode you're mentioning, Lasting Impressions, that featured Gordon and that hologram girl, it was such a good episode because my favorite part was definitely the ending too, where he ends up as one of the photos in her camera roll. And I thought that was such a poetic ending because of how her phone was found in the first place, especially because of the music that they use.
It was in a time capsule, I think.
I thought the song she sang too was pretty good. Not definitely something I'll keep replaying and listening to myself personally. I'm more of like a rock and roll genre kind of guy, but I thought the song she played was actually quite nice. And Gordon has a great singing voice. It's crazy.
So look who's in the chat, Spock.
We have Mr. Star Wars, guys. I was gonna mention him earlier. I didn't want to interrupt you though.
Oh, no, that's fine. What's up, guys?
Welcome.
What's up,
it's good
Paul?
to see you, buddy. We got Leah Rose here still, and then Pacific. It's good to see you guys here, man.
We have Admiral Saval. So
yes, Mr. Admiral Saval told me he has.
Vulcan.
he's coming from Vulcan.
I guess Hulu's cheaper on Vulcan.
Yeah, Hulu is definitely cheaper according to him on Vulcan. It's $2 over there, but with the student membership, that's a good deal.
Wow, Admiral Saval.
That's really good.
Ambassador
Don't mess with Admiral Saval. He logically got that
he
that
negotiated.
opportunity.
He logically negotiated for that student membership. That's pretty cool. I didn't even know they had that. I
love the mirror version of Admiral Saval too, because he's just as good. He's kind of the same person in both universes.
Well, isn't he like he's like he's like a slave or something? Like they're all slaves to the Vulcans.
Basically, I mean, it's not implied that they're actually slaves, but they have no choice but to do stuff in the interest of the Terran Empire, or Vulcans are going to get destroyed.
I think the In the Mirror Darkly is considered by many people to be the best of Enterprise.
Yeah.
And I forgot
the episode too with Archer and that lady he meets in Boston, where where the German soldiers make their way into what was it, Boston, and they kind of take over New York and almost the East Coast of the United States, kind of creating that alternate timeline. And they kind of dealt with racism in that episode, which was interesting to see.
Yeah, they obviously borrowed from The Man in the High Castle, the original book by Philip K. Dick. And of course, Amazon made their own version they did their own adaptation of that book, and they made a show of it. I've only watched the first 2 seasons. It's actually pretty interesting. I mean, but if you're not into watching World War II era Germans taking over the United States, then it's not for everyone.
Yeah, but I mean, it's definitely something strange.
I did like how season 4 opened with them kind of, resolving the whole temporal Cold War thing. And of course, they resolve it in I forget, was it 1947 in Enterprise? Like it's like later in the future when the Germans invade the East Coast of the United States. Do you remember?
Sorry, repeat that.
Was it later, in 1940, later, because the war ended in 1945, So I'm wondering if like the year that they went back to in Enterprise, beginning of season 4, was like
I think it was
1946 or
still
1947,
I
or
think
was
it
it
was
still?
still 1945. I could completely be wrong with that though.
Okay, it was just a question. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure either, but
Technically it's irrelevant to what we're talking about.
Oh man, do you want to read this one?
I really want to rewatch Enterprise. All right, let's keep going.
Do you want to read this one right here? What Star Wars guys just said?
He tasks me, and I shall have him. I'll chase him round the moons of Nibia, round the Antares maelstrom, and round perdition's flames before I give him up. Oh,
I'm
Kirk,
sure.
my
Oh, I
old
can't wait to talk
friend.
about that, Paul.
Remember the Klingon proverb that revenge is a dish that is best served cold?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's very cold in space. Oh, I can quote Ricardo Montalban until I'm blue in the face. I'm definitely going to be doing that tomorrow.
Yeah, I can't wait to go into the talk about that, Paul, after the stream. I'm glad you saw that.
Alpha 6 exploded 6 months after we were marooned here. The shock twisted the orbit of this planet and laid everything waste. Admiral Kirk never came back to check on our progress. It was my intellect that kept us all alive. Oh, I can't go on any further. I'm going to go nuts. I really want to.
That was really impressive that
it.
you remembered all of that, though. Holy crap!
I've replayed at work. At work for like several years. I would just replay the clips with Khan. Like any scene with Khan in it, I had to listen to it. Like I love it when Kirk and Khan are talking in the view screen. It's one of my favorite quotable scenes of all time. So
it is. It really is, though. I mean, that's the best movie in Star Trek, right there, in my opinion.
I can't help but be touched. I, of course, remember you. Khan, what is the meaning of this attack? I thought I made my meaning plain. I mean to avenge myself upon you.
Mike just brought up the best idea.
I just wanted you to know who it was who had beaten you. Khan, if it's me you want, I'll have myself beamed aboard.
You gotta talk like Shatner. Well, it's still us you bringing aboard.
I give you a counter proposal. In addition to yourself, I want all available information on that project called Genesis. Genesis, what's that? Don't insult my intelligence, Kirk. Oh, give me some time to look in the computer. I give you 60 seconds, Admiral. I can't keep.
Admiral.
Yeah, this is gonna go crazy.
And Mike just brought up the best idea. He says, "Can we start the show on Tuesday Night Trek with all of us yelling Khan?"
We have to. We have to.
Oh my goodness!
How do I know you'll keep your word? Oh, I've given you no word to keep, Admiral. In my mind, you just simply have no alternative. I see what you mean.
Leah Rose asks, "Hey Spock, do you think an Enterprise with Captain Archer and the first officer should have gotten together?" Who was the first officer again?
T'Pol.
No, I don't. I think Archer and the NX-02 captain should have. And for T'Pol, she should have ended up with Tucker. And I think she did. I mean, sorry, not Tucker. Trip. Tucker. Trip and T'Pol actually do get married according to the wiki. After. So Trip actually didn't die in that explosion. Just because of how rushed that season was. Because of its, cancellation.
There was one thing I forgot to say. Admiral Khan, we're finding it. Admiral, please, you have to give us time. The bridge is smashed and the computer's inoperative. Time is a luxury you don't have, Admiral. I had to include that one.
He has so many quotes. I can't wait to watch that again tonight. We're gonna talk about that with Paul. So if you guys aren't aware, make sure to catch us tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern at the Star Wars Guys channel for Tuesday Night Trek, and we're gonna be discussing Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, and I believe it's director's cut as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's only going to be like an additional 2 minutes of footage, I mean, mainly concerning Scotty's nephew. I think
So yeah,
that's
definitely
really,
catch us around for that.
yeah.
And she says one episode Archer had a crush onto Paul. He did. I forget which episode that was. There was that hint, that maybe they should get together. But if I had to choose personally, I think him and the NX-02 captain should have, because of the history they already had together. I mean, true, she didn't get a lot of screen time, but one thing I always remember about her crew, was Seth MacFarlane was one of the engineers. So it's
Yeah,
actually interesting we're talking about that.
yeah, I remember he was under Tucker. So this was around the time in between the resurgence of Family Guy. Because Family Guy came back in 2005. And I think he was in season 3 when they go look for the Zindi. So, but I got a question for you. I was looking through various Enterprise episodes, and I was wondering your opinion on this one that I completely forgot about. What'd you think of that episode where the two Vulcans are stranded on Earth in the 1950s?
One of my favorite episodes where T'Pol is pretty much discussing with Trip and Archer about that story. I think that's a real story. I think that actually wasn't just something she made up. It was really cool to see how they just dealt with blending into human society, because we always see Starfleet trying to blend in with an alien society, but what did Vulcans ever try to do that with us in the 21st century? And
yeah, that was the question.
I thought that was really good. It was really cool to see that.
Yeah, Pacific. He has the episode, and I forgot the episode, Carbon Creek. I actually really liked it, and yes, I bought it. I bought that it actually happened. It suspended my disbelief.
Yeah, because I'm like, maybe she's just making it up at first, right? But then the detail of the story, it's like, yeah, this happened. This definitely happened. Yeah, and hello I totally to Mr. Number One. Good to see you. First time new visitor here. Good to see you, man.
And that's Number One Sci-Fi. I think he changed his name to Number One.
Oh, well, welcome back. I didn't even realize. I like the new profile picture. But it says here, Halston Sage, who portrays Lieutenant Alara Katan, will not be returning for the 3rd season as part of the main cast. In season 2, Alara Katan resigns from her post in the spacecraft to return to her home planet. However, it is possible.
That episode, by the way.
Yeah, that was a really good episode where she's kind of like losing her strength, and we get to see 2 of the doctors together in one episode. I'm like, oh my gosh, the doctor from Enterprise.
Robert Picardo and John Billingsley, Dr. Phlox and the EMH.
Such a cool, and he turns out to be an evil guy, and I'm Dr. Phlox.
Yeah, he was basically, I forget, like his, if I remember correctly, her father, Alara's father, Robert Picardo, is like a professor. Some sort, I forget what kind of a professor he is, but he teaches and he fails John Billingsley or Dr. Phlox's kid, and so they hold him hostage. And it was cool seeing Zalea, as was what it called, Zalea, the name of the planet.
Yeah, Zalea.
And seeing the effect, I was laughing and seeing the effect, like, if you're not, like, protected, if you're a human and you're not protected from the was it the 5 times or the 10 times gravity, like you see Ed's leg get like completely shattered.
Dude, that was so scary.
But in this universe, in this Orville universe, like you can regrow limbs at a whim. Because remember, I remember season 1 where they're talking about practical jokes, and they're trying to teach Isaac what a practical joke is, and
he cuts off his leg.
Gordon wakes up without a leg. I'm like, what? I'm like, I watch this. I'm like, what is this? And then
it falls in the sea. I forgot who he was chatting with, right? It was it was the lady who was basically from the future and bidding them off. They're trying to talk to her all serious, and then 2 seconds later the leg just falls from the ceiling, and then he's like, never mind about that.
I'm like, what is this? I'm like, oh, this is Seth MacFarlane. I mean, this was like borderline Family Guy moment.
It's perfect though, you know, because I love the humor in this show 100 times more compared to the humor in Star Trek Discovery, which just comes off as stupid. You know, like, oh, excuse me, your ass, sir, or whatever the hell she said. I thought that was really pathetic. But
what about Lower Decks? Do they use this type of humor at all? I mean, I know they've.
From what I hear, they do. It's also not canon, which is a good thing. But
No,
a lot
Decks
of
is
it.
canon. Lower Decks is according to. Well, I mean, if you're assuming, if you're being technical, I mean, in terms of New Trek, I think Lower Decks is canon. And if you don't like New
I don't
Trek,
think
then...
so, because even for New Trek, it hasn't really been confirmed anywhere that it is, unless I'm mistaken.
Okay, I mean, I always thought it was. I thought it was canon. So.
Yeah, I was kind of relieved after doing some research to figure out that it's actually never been announced. I mean, they could easily say though it's canon, but I think because of how not serious it is and how much more of a comedy it's supposed to be, they at least did the honor of making it not canon, which I hope is true.
I mean, the only thing I know is that they have I watched the first episode. You have that dumb blast shields joke. She's singing blast shields for some reason. And then
I've never seen it. Wow.
The crew turns to zombies, and it gets very Rick and Morty gross. And apparently there was an episode where they crank called the oil guy from the that kills Tasha Yar. They basically crank called the oil guy, the oil creature. Armis, I think, is his name. And they just piss him off, and that's the joke.
Oh, the one that killed Yar.
Tasha Yar. Yeah.
Tasha Yar.
Yeah.
Pacific says Mike McMahon says it's canon. Is he the creator?
Yeah, Mike McMahon's the creator. He worked on I think he's one of the writers of Rick and Morty.
Where did he say it was canon? I'll have to look that up.
Probably at a convention, or probably in an article or something.
Okay, so just a disclaimer, I was mentioning out of any articles recently or everything that's been published, Twitter posts including those, it hasn't really been said anywhere that Lower Decks is canon, but that can easily be changed by what Mike just said, by the creator himself saying that it's canon at like a convention or something.
I'll give Lower Decks this. At least the ships don't look horrible. Unlike
I'm not a big
Discovery.
fan of the ships. It's still keeping that really dark gray and flat design, which doesn't really sit well with me. I mean, that's just preference.
The Cerritos didn't look bad. Like
the
Cerritos didn't look bad compared to like your copy and paste ships in Picard. And
compare the elegance of that ship to the Galileo 7 shuttlecraft. Which one looks a lot more attractive? The white hull with the red highlights, or a really dumb gray flat design? That's just the modern taste of futuristic these days.
Well, you know where I'm going to stand on that.
Yeah, I know.
Galileo,
it's just
of
like,
course.
Maybe I'll give Lower Decks that their ships are better than Discovery, but I'm still not. I think the only really flat ship I like was the Enterprise J. And if anyone isn't aware what the Enterprise... The Enterprise J was the 29th, I believe, or 29th century ship.
It was the 31st, I think.
It probably was. I keep thinking 29th, but it's either around those two generations that Daniels brought Archer on the ship, and behind Daniels and Archer, there's actually a schematic of what the ship looks like, and it's a very flat. There's even in the game Star Trek Online, they have the ship, and it's a flat, very thin saucer, and super big, like an oval, and it has these weird looking nacelles kind of arched backwards. So it's not my favorite ship, but out of all of the flat designs they've showcased, it's
oh wow,
it's definitely my favorite one.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Wow, it is flat. Holy crap.
It's confusing because when you look at the flatness, right, it's like, how do people walk around? You know, it's so flat, looks like their roof is touching their heads.
Maybe little people occupy it,
or
and work
different
on it,
type of
that's what it's that low.
Like, you know, Doctor Who, how the TARDIS is bigger in the inside. It could be something like that. And Black Dragon says the 26th century is where it's from. Okay, so I was way off.
Oh, okay. Daniels is in the 31st century. Okay. So where's the Enterprise F? That's what I'm
Admiral
wondering.
Saval says if you look outside the USS Discovery, it kind of has a bronze color. It does. It has like these bronzish highlights on the hull when you reflect it at certain lighting. I've noticed that. It's not my favorite hull though, because from what we know of Star Trek in the past, the hull has always been white or a light dark gray. Nothing like really black, or that was more signifying Section 31. If something was really black, then that's Section 31. But if it's just a normal gray, like the white of this web page right here, then that's how it should have been. Really, it probably would have looked prettier if they kept that.
Yeah, I'm looking at the I'm looking at the Cerritos now. You're right. It is a darker gray, but at least it has shape. It doesn't look flat. Like I get some slight Reliant vibes because the nacelles are pointing downwards instead of upwards, like the Enterprise.
And JP says it's a good color for a pizza cutter. Oh Lord. All right, let's continue with this because we're about to go over 2 hours here. Halston Sage, so Lieutenant Elara Katan is not going to be coming back, unfortunately, for this third season, which is a shame because she was one of my favorite characters.
I liked her. I liked her quite a bit.
At least we have the other Zelayan security guard, right?
Yeah. I mean,
unfortunately,
the only thing was that they were basically very human-like characters. It was just that they're like 10 times stronger. I think that's the only real difference because of their planet.
Yeah.
So like she's always
it's
opening.
like, oh man, dude, it's kind of crazy realizing how strong they are, because when Ed's leg just breaks, and we all know how strong a human bone is, it's not like something you can easily just break with your hands.
Yeah.
That must be a lot of pressure on that planet. So it makes sense. It's painting the picture of how strong Alara really is, or how strong Zilayans really are, because they almost look like superheroes. They can just jump super high and just break open walls.
They're complete pacifists, I believe. They're very big into the arts and the literature, and
which is really interesting, you know.
So like her going into security was kind of, looked down upon by her folks. Her folks were still very likable, but it was still kind of looked down. It was still, I think, in my opinion, it was still kind of looked down upon in their society to do something that requires, or that would involve violence of any sort.
Yeah, because it's interesting to see a race that could easily just wipe out the human race, no problem with their pinky, and they just decide to be a bunch of pacifists. And it's probably because they know that they're really strong and their intention isn't to hurt other people. So they're genuinely a good race. Like, they're not evil. But they are very much against what the Orville stands for, which is basically militaristic. And they paint out the Union to be a bit more militaristic than, say, the Federation. I think the Federation started to feel a bit more, military like in Deep Space Nine, when you really got to see how the command structure works.
Well, even if you just want to go by just like simply the uniforms, really starts with Wrath of Khan, with just the look. Because like in the motion picture, the uniforms kind of come off as like, like a scientist type of outfit, or a uniform that scientists would wear. Whereas in, Wrath of Khan, with, those deep red, coats and stuff that they were wearing, it was very naval.
And Admiral Saval says the official reason for Discovery's, look and color is because it was not built at a Federation fleet yard, but rather at a private shipyard.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that either.
Interesting.
I don't know how many shipyards the Federation really could have had though at that time, but it's interesting nonetheless.
You had the big one, and then they mentioned in Picard, Utopia Planitia on Mars, I think.
Right.
That's one. I
But
don't know if there's. I'm sure there's others that were mentioned throughout this franchise. Just can't think of them right now.
if they
I want to
made
rewatch them.
this is my only problem with Discovery's ship. If they made it look a little bit more like the Constitution, which wouldn't have been a big issue, but say that the Section 31 group made that ship, because if they're saying that it was created in a private fleet yard, then Section 31 should have been the ones coming forward saying we created the Discovery ship, but instead it's not really said. It's Federation who created it. But not to go much onto that, unfortunately, our friend Norm Jean McDonald, the voice of Yaphet, passed away in September. In this article, it also says he passed away September 2021 due to acute leukemia, which is very heartbreaking to hear that. He was not only Lieutenant Yaphet, but he played a lot of inspirational roles in many other movies, and funny roles too.
Yeah, he was on Saturday. He was funny on Saturday Night Live. I know it's a weird concept, but yeah, Saturday Night Live was once funny. But that was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago. And Mike says the San Francisco yards in Earth orbit.
Okay, yeah, I of course. That's where you get that nice long 3-minute shot of them going into the or docking with the Enterprise in the motion picture. So of course.
It says it is unclear whether we will hear Norm's voice in season 3, since it is uncertain if he was able to record his lines. Oh wow, somebody told me that. I don't remember. I think it might have been Mike or one of my other friends who said that he actually was able to record his lines.
Yeah,
so I hope that's true.
I heard that too. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe
I don't know how well we can trust the
might not have all the
cinemaholic, everybody.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's like your typical internet journalism. I mean,
pretty much.
Take it with a grain of salt.
And for everyone curious, if you're just joining the stream and you're wondering why Trek Talk is covering the Orville, I mean, we can quickly discuss that real quick. The Orville is arguably very Star Trek compared to anything else CBS is putting out right now. And I feel personally any news that comes out for this show is pretty important to bring up on this channel. So a news of a season 3 is pretty big, especially considering how long it took for season 3 to come out. I think a lot of Trekkies are anticipating for season 3 and can't wait for it to come out.
I mean, I actually brought this up myself. I was like, Trek Talk, isn't that going to confuse viewers and stuff? But then
you're right. You're right.
A Nerdporeal trying to cross brains with Spock, he tore me to pieces.
And they're true. It's
logic.
Not in the same. It's not the same universe, but you're very right. Why people could get confused on that.
Yeah, but you managed to turn the tables around on me logically, and because I tried to cross brains with you, and I got destroyed. So hence we're talking about the Orville right now. It's like a Jedi mind trick, but with Vulcans. Well, I can say
well, I don't know how strong. We don't want to go into that whole debate, but maybe the mind meld is able to convince someone to do something.
Yeah, I mean, well, there was or you could trick someone. Like, I mean, there was that episode where Spock you basically mind meld with the wall, and the guard is on the other side, and you trick the guard into thinking that everybody escapes. So he opens the door, and then you just use the Vulcan pinch, knock him out, and escape. It was the Yaminiar episode, the one with the Taste of Armageddon, the one with Anon 7 and the war with computers and all that. That was the episode.
Oh,
sir, I remember that was the best part of that episode. You just walk up to a guard and you say, "Sir, there is a multi-legged creature crawling on your shoulder," and then you just knock him out. You just knock him out and take his.
I love when he said that.
I watched it. I just laughed when I saw that. That was just.
He lied though, right? Couldn't he lie? Technically, there wasn't a creature.
Yeah, exactly. He did lie. Exactly
so Vulcans lie.
Yeah. Despite the fact
Mike says, according to Seth MacFarlane, McDonald was able to record all of his lines. Okay, good.
Okay, that's
Thank God.
great. That is wonderful.
Thank God.
So I mean, and I've read this, and this is what I think. I've read potential things that could happen if they do a season 4, where Yaphet basically undergoes mitosis and splits into 2 mini Yaphets, each with a different voice. And I think that would be the perfect way to
That
send
would,
them off.
because isn't that how they technically procreate?
I think so.
They-
Yeah, it's called.
they just
I think
break
they
into
like.
different-
He's like. It's like Norm Macdonald is plain voice saying it's called my. It's like it's called mitosis.
So yeah, we're probably gonna see something like that.
And
Definitely.
Dr. Finn's like, then why you keep harassing me? Oh, because I want to have fun too.
If
Because
that happens, I
Norm
wonder who the
Macdonald.
new voice of Yaphet Jr. is gonna be.
Oh, I have no idea.
That would be like that would be a hard one, yeah.
That would be an interesting thing to theorize. I'd have to obviously another comedian.
Robert says about Spock, would that be lying, or is it exaggerating? Or
Oh,
was
no,
it actually there?
Maybe it was. Maybe we just because we're looking at it from the back. Maybe
That's
it was
true.
in the front of his shoulder, out of the view of the viewer. Who knows? But it was great. That was hilarious. That part.
And the end of the article goes on to say, on a different note, Ann Winters has joined the cast for season 3 as Charlie Burke. The actress is known for her performance in Chloe Rice in 13 Reasons Why. Eliza Taylor, who you may recognize as Clark Griffin in The 100, will also be a part of the mix and an undisclosed role. So yeah, you did mention this earlier, I remember. Undisclosed role though, interesting. So they're not going to give away too much on Clark Griffin.
Okay, that's good. I'm just wondering if they're going to be aliens, if they're going to be new members of the crew, new human members of the crew. It'll be interesting to find out.
Yeah, it will.
I'm wondering if do you think they're going to bring back any of the guest stars from previous seasons, like what's her name, the character Priya from like season 1. She was the one that she's kind of like Berlinghoff Rasmussen from TNG, where she tries to steal the Orville and bring it back to the future.
We could see. Oh no, actually, I would say we're not going to see Priya, because that timeline completely got erased since since they destroyed the black hole that she used to go back in time. There's that version of Priya no longer exists. So Priya in the 29th century can be a completely different person now.
Interesting.
And one thing to not nitpick into too much, but one thing I've always found interesting about Orville is that it takes place a little bit later compared to Star Trek, right? So it's in the 26th century. And I've always wondered,
the 25th.
I think it's the 26th. I could be wrong though. If the chat wants to clarify that, go for it. I think it's around those 2 centuries, but I've always found it interesting that they decide to kind of say that the Union developed a bit later, But we don't really have a full understanding on the Union. Is it necessary? Maybe not right now, but it would be interesting to find out one day how the Union was created.
Maybe I don't know if the Selaans have their own ships. Maybe they'll become part of the effort. I think they're part of the Union, right?
I think so. I would put my money on it.
Yeah, I'll have to brush up on my Orville lore and stuff.
Yeah, I'm currently in the midst of rewatching season 2 again.
Yeah, they're part of the Union. I think there's that episode where they bring the Union Council together, and who's the lead representative of the Union from the Celea? F. Murray Abraham, the guy that plays Ruafo in Star Trek Insurrection, the villain. That guy.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
So we got another appearance. So technically not another appearance, but we got another sci-fi appearance from F. Murray Abraham. So after he killed Mozart, he started, trying to take a planet away from a bunch of people, and now he's the head of Celea. It's pretty interesting. That's a hell of a career.
And Robert clarified that the Orville is in the 25th century.
Oh, I was right.
You win the lottery, sir.
I know it's weird. I usually I'm supposed to lose when it comes to crossing brains with you.
Well, hey, what am I supposed to do against a non-corporeal being?
The Star Wars guys has something to say. He says, just for the lulls, there should be an episode where someone's brain is stolen. That is the most ridiculous idea I've ever heard. Star Wars guys, I feel dumber for even
Isaac's trying another
reading
practical joke.
I feel dumber, and may everyone have mercy on your soul.
Oh Lord.
Actually,
so it says here,
I have a soft place in my heart for Spock's brain.
Spock's brain is a great one.
It's one. It's the first two tapes I own, that and Space Seeds. So that episode will always have a special place in my heart, even though the aliens are not bright. I'll say that.
As for guest stars, I'd also want to. I think we're gonna see Marina Sirtis again. I know not too many people like her, but it's very possible we're gonna see her again as the teacher on the Orville.
Yeah, she was. I didn't realize that she was the ship's computer in Star Trek Continues.
That's true. Yeah, she was also the ship's computer. I think we're also gonna see Tim Russ again because he seems to be an archaeologist in the Orville universe.
Here's a good question. Here's a good question for you. Will they bring back more Star Trek actors?
Of course, if they're able to, of course. I mean,
who have we had so
season
far?
1, we've had. I might forget a couple.
We've had John Billingsley, Robert Picardo.
We also
Tim
had
Russ.
Penny Johnson Gerald, but we also had the guy who played Bashir's father in Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, and he was also he plays Aver Sarala's husband in The Expanse. Aver Sarala is the head of the or she's one of the heads of the United Nations on Expanse. You gotta watch The Expanse, Spock.
I'm gonna watch it. Yeah, everyone's been telling me to watch that. I'm gonna go check that out as soon as I'm able to. I'm currently in the midst, like I said, watching season 2 again of the Orville. And that's just so I can build up that anticipation of season 3 because it's been a while since I actually rewatched the show.
Yeah, I need to.
But I definitely got to check out Expanse.
Oh yeah. The new season comes out December 10th. The first episode or 2. Amazon's going to do it weekly, but I think last year they released. Actually, yeah, no, they're doing it weekly this time, like they did with the last season. And it was actually a good idea.
This was buffering. Now it's good. Okay. Yeah. Now, as for the plot of season 3, it's up to anybody. It says right here in the article, the Orville season 3 plot. What is it about? It starts to open up with the season 2 finale of the Orville ends in an astounding showdown as the crew tries to restore the original timeline by erasing Kelly's memories, and that was a great 2-parter. As half of the known galaxy is occupied by the Kaylon, including the annihilated Earth, the crew of the Orville strives to restore order. Realizing that the only way to restore the original timeline is by correcting the memory wipe of Kelly, the crew obtains an essential protein to complete the process. They salvage Orville from the Mariana Trench and send Claire to the past to erase Kelly's memories. Finally, Claire succeeds and restores the original timeline. I wish they put the original timeline in quotes because we don't know exactly if it's the same one, because Mike did bring up a good point earlier. Maybe the Krill are either different now. We don't know how it exactly all played out. Season 3 might highlight the consequences of the Kaylon's attack and how Ed and his crew will bring normalcy back into the lives of the crew members. It might also explore what's in store for Isaac as he sides with the Union and fights against his own tribe. The 3rd season might explore the relationship between the members of the Orville and the species of the Krill in a different dimension of as the species could help the Orville fight the Kaylon. Now, we did see, them try to help them against the Kaylon when they were attacking Earth. Mm-hmm. So it's very possible that the Krill and the Orville are gonna team up together after so many years of mistrust.
remember the I was just reading I was just reading a synopsis of the follow-up episode to Identity Part 2, where they're starting, like, negotiations with the Krill for relations and stuff. And the episode begins with they're chasing a ship that's run by some pilot who happens to be an old friend of Gordon, and his quote unquote daughter, are being chased by them. And the Krill are saying these people are dangerous. They murdered a bunch of people. We want them back. And then they're like, oh no, they're chasing us. We were in a prison and they mistreated us and we escaped and blah blah blah. You remember that one? The girl who had the orange blood, and every time she bled, it was like
The
an
Unvol,
explosive.
Envol, I
Yeah,
mean, yeah,
remember
yeah.
that? I was like,
hmm
I couldn't believe I
I
forgot
thought
about
that
it.
was
So
completely creative how they made that the blood had a certain protein that created some kind of bad chemical reaction with the oxygen in the air,
it
creating
was
like a
like
bomb.
freaking hydrogen. It was like she was bleeding hydrogen or something, like,
That
or
was
whatever that
crazy.
would make contact with
And
whatever
she's
could, like.
so like Claire was right too. She's like, "You're lucky you didn't blow up half the ship when you decked her." I thought that was
Yeah,
hilarious.
I have to watch that. I can't wait to catch up with. I really want to rewatch Identity Parts 1 and 2, but I really want to rewatch. I'm on episode 2 right now. I can't wait to continue
It's
watching
great,
this.
man. It gets even better, towards the middle. I can't wait till you get to it.
But like, so so basically that kind of helps build additional stuff with it builds additional stuff with the Krill, because you find out the Krill were actually, they were not the bad guys. It was the Gordon's friend and the orange explosive blooded girl. I forget what she was called again. Were the villains and stuff, and they put a stop to that. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes. I don't know if the religion, because I know the Krill are very religious. I don't know if religion will come into there will be a conflict over, like, religion, because like a lot of their ideology stems from their religion, including their more darker, violent, warlike aspects comes from their religion, as established in season 1. So I'm thinking
Yeah.
that might play another part, that Bible or whatever, I forget what they call it, in the show.
The Book of Avis, I believe.
Yeah, Book of Avis. Kind of like, it makes me think of in Dune the Orange Catholic Bible, or wherever else they call it. But it was the same thing. It's just the the sacred text and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. And yeah, I was gonna bring that up because they're trying to team up and ally themselves with the Krill now, but how is Ed and Gordon gonna erase what they saw in their heads of that one ritual that took place in the ship where they basically just kept stabbing that poor guy's head over and over again? I'm just like, oh my goodness, these guys are gonna be scarred for the rest of their lives.
Oh, I forgot about that. Holy crap, I forgot about. I have to rewatch it again.
It's like, it seems like they're cutting the relations pretty close after that, but as long as they can team up with the Krill, they stand a better chance against the Kalon, right?
It's kind of
So
like, it's comparable to the Federation and the Klingons.
but I'm still putting
Against
it out there that the Mocklins, if they are bitchy enough, they will try to ally themselves with the Krill and make it just as hard for the Union.
Okay, let's talk about the Mocklins. Where did we leave off with the Mocklins? Now, there was the episode where they find that secret, planet, that secret colony where a bunch of Mocklin women are hiding, and of course they have that epic fight, and they're playing the song 9 to 5 from the movie 9 to 5, if you ever seen it, the one with the one with Jane Fonda,
Yeah.
and Dabney Coleman and all of them, and they play the song from that movie, and it's hilarious. Just it's hilarious, because 9 to 5 is all, the movie's about 3 women dealing with their sexist boss, and they kidnap him, and because they're worried that they're gonna go to jail and stuff. It's a ridiculous movie and stuff. So but but like, they make a deal with they make a deal with the Mocklins to keep them from seceding, because they do in that episode threaten to secede from the Union. I know it sounds very Civil War-ish. But they make some sort of deal where the colony is kind of like Taiwan, and then the Mocklin planet is China, whereas they are now under the protection of the Union, or the rest of the Union, or Earth, I'll say.
That would be interesting.
So I'm wondering where that's going to lead to. I mean, we meet that one woman who wrote, like, she wrote under a certain pseudonym. I forget what
she was considered
about.
the greatest poet on Mocklus.
Was it just poetry, or did she write about like philosophy, or?
I think it was just literature in general. She covered a lot.
Okay, and then they find out, and of course, there's a big, shell shock that everyone. Oh, she's actually a female.
Something
Mocklin,
Eldon, I forget. J. Eldon something. I forget the rest of his name.
But yeah, I think that's where we left off with the Mocklin. So I'm guessing they're gonna. I mean, one thing I'd like about the Orville, and they've done this in 2 seasons already, is like they've done a really good job at, like, they started that story arc with the story about a girl, about Bortus and Clyden having a girl, and then the episode they Bortus tries to fight to keep the girl as she is, but of course Clyden sides with the planet, with the rest of the Mocklins, and they lose, and their kid becomes a boy. They make the kid a boy. And
it's very possible that we'll see more very controversial episodes similar like that in the season 3.
Yeah, I think it'll be more interwoven with like the rest of the story, including like the fight with the Kalons and everything.
There's we're probably gonna get a very. Sorry to interrupt. I was just saying we're probably gonna get a. Sorry, I think I'm lagging a bit.
All right,
I was just gonna say I think we're getting I think we're gonna get a pretty good episode between the Kalon and the Union, a very deep and controversial episode between the hatred of those two and how eventually it's gonna have a resolution. I'm pretty sure we're gonna get something like that. Yeah, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Oh, I'm trying to remember. I forgot.
That's my fault. I apologize.
Yeah, I just had a brain fart.
Yeah, I'm having those today as well myself. There's just a lot. There's a lot of going on in Orville. It's just like there is so many themes to catch that you kind of miss first time watching. So once you know everything about the show, it's just such a hard process to gather it all together and make one simple summary on it. There's just so much to talk about.
Yeah.
Star Wars guy says the aspect sounds a bit like What Ships Are For from Star Trek Continues. Yes, it very much is.
Yeah, it's got that deep writing about ideals and stuff, about social stuff, racism, sexism. In this case, it's more sexism and stuff. So I mean. And it's never a simple answer, and the answer is not always something it's not always going to have a happy ending. But I know what I was going to say. I think season 3 is going to be a little less self-contained. Like I said, everything's going to be more integrated. There's going to be a lot going on in each episode. Everything's going to be
I agree with that. I can't wait to be the first person to say that you were right when that happens. Because I have a good feeling that they have a big story planned for this season.
And I mean, there's less episodes, so I'm guessing there's going to be So there's going to be a lot more. And
it's kind of a hint,
Hulu with it being on Hulu, I think there's going to be a much bigger budget, so there's going to be more money spent, and there's going to be a lot more cool stuff going on.
Yes, indeed.
But I hope the level of writing and storytelling doesn't suffer because of that.
I don't think it will. I mean, there's always that possibility, but I think we're dealing with some pretty smart writers for once.
We're having. I'm thinking the visuals are going to look even better this year because they brought on Doug Drexler to work on the visuals, and he worked on TNG, DS9, Voyager, Enterprise. He's done like ship design. He's done makeup. This guy's done everything, and he was in the first episode of Continuous. He was the holodeck guy with the cowboy holodeck guy pointing the gun at Vic, and he's explaining exactly what the gun is and exactly the specs of the gun, which is something Doug Drexler would do. So, and he's been a fan. He's been a fan of Trek since the show was on in the '60s. So. So I can't wait to see what he does because I like his I like the look. I like the look that he's contributed to Trek as a whole. So,
and Mike says Bortus also seems to regret his decision. Yeah, he really does. I mean, he even wanted to keep her a girl in that one episode, but the whole situation with him and Clyden, it made it a lot tougher for him because he doesn't want to lose Clyden. He seems to still love him, like he says in that episode, and he wants to make things work. So he was willing to, have his daughter be transgendered into a man, right? Because that's basically what happens to the Moclans when they're born. If they're born a female, they have surgery till they become a man.
And it's part of their society. It's part of their culture.
And hail to Locutus. Good to see you, buddy.
You know what that means?
He's gonna assimilate us all.
That means our life as we know it is over. We will now service us. And then of course, I'm hearing the music, and Riker's like, "Mr. Worf, fire, dun dun dun, ba ba ba, dun dun dun, ba ba ba, ba." I heard that.
I love that soundtrack.
I heard that in 2016 for the 50th. I went. I don't know if you were. I don't know if you saw the 50th anniversary concert, but when they came to Chicago, I went and saw them, and it was magic. I was like, there were moments where I was shedding tears. Like I don't like to cry all the time, but like it was a very emotional. Hearing the music from Trek live was a very emotional moment for me, especially hearing the Inner Light. They played the Inner Light theme, and they played there was the moment in Enterprise where what's his name, Travis, finds out that his father died, and they not only played the music, but they played the scene that the music was written to, which was, I love that. Like they showed Riker saying fire to Locutus, but they also showed the scene in Enterprise with where Archer goes and talks to Travis. Travis is in like a room alone because he just found out his father passed away, and it was just and he talks to him, and it was just a wonderful scene. And I
really liked Travis's character. He was a great character.
It put tears in my eyes because it was like a year or two since I lost my father, and
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I mean it's life, as Kirk says, c'est la vie in Star Trek 6. It was something that I could relate to and stuff, and so like seeing that scene, even though I don't think I watched Enterprise since, but seeing that scene just made me give me more of a perspective on that stuff. So it was such a wonderful it was a magical experience. I would definitely recommend if they ever do this again. It's awesome to see the music of Star Trek played live.
Yeah,
by an orchestra, and then of course doing it to the screen is even cooler. So
yeah,
and I love the Orville's theme. The Orville's theme is very Star Trek.
It is, and at one point I actually convinced myself I thought it was John Williams who created the music, but it's Bruce Broughton, I believe that's his name.
Of the Orville.
Yeah. Who composes the music.
I don't know what else he's done though. I don't know him. I don't know his work.
It's a very good theme. But the article concludes to say Orville is expected to continue their expeditions to new planets and civilizations with new troubles, amusing conundrums, and mind-blowing battles, with parties in the way for the crew. That makes me happy if that's true.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. I honestly hope they meet a new species or a new race and continue what Trek was all about exploring strange new worlds, seeking out new life and new civilization, and boldly going where no one has gone before. You know how I put the emphasis on one instead of man? You know, trying to be, correct politically.
You saved yourself a lot of headache there.
Yeah, there you go. But I hope to see them. Hopefully, they'll build. I'd like to see building relationships, and hopefully, like that'll pay off. Like they'll help fight the Kalon in some way or something. I hope to see something like that.
I mean, you both, bro. I cannot wait for season 3 of this show, and I think with that concludes today's episode of Trek Talk. I really enjoyed this first episode with you, Nerd. Definitely gonna have you here again so we can talk about new Trek.
Yeah, it's a reality.
We have to educate people. We have to let them know.
Of course. That's going to require work.
I mean, we have people like Paul who are watching Star Trek for the first time. We might as well give that disclaimer that you might want to steer away from the Kurtzman universe.
At least not until after you've seen all of what we call, real or what real Star Trek, stuff that we like, the stuff that has maintained what has been
everything that's been derived from the original series, pretty much.
Yeah, everything that's Gene Roddenberry's vision, hopeful future, basically going out into space and learning. That's basically what it is. You're going out into space and you're learning about the universe, and you're making relationships with other species.
Yep. And
at least that the Prime Directive approves of.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. It's the Prime Directive cuts into a lot of corners, so I'm kind of curious for the Orville if they have their own version of a Prime Directive, because it seems like they don't. Right? It seems like they don't really have one.
They couldn't interfere, like the Admiral Ted Danson, who was kind of a dick, in my opinion. But Admiral Ted Danson, who was a big Trek fan, so I wasn't surprised he was on the show, basically gives Mercer, he's like, you cannot go rescue them on that birthday planet. The birthday planet, the episode I didn't care for from season 2.
Yep.
Yeah, that was. So I'm just like, okay. By the way,
and we got Daryl the Derelict. Good to see you, buddy. He caught us just in time. We're about to end the stream off here.
He's doing a drive-by like and hail. Ooh, I'm hit. I'm hit with likes and hails. Help! Okay, I kind of sounded that I was channeling a Rich.
That was a dad joke.
That
was a dad joke.
Yeah.
It's good to see you though, man. Thanks for popping by.
Oh my gosh! Sorry, that was another Rich Evans.
And Robert says, "Can I join? Can I bring it up?" We're about to end the stream off, but we're gonna be in Discord if you want to chat with us. We're gonna be with Paul, just talking about Wrath of Khan. So yeah, if you guys haven't joined the Discord, it's literally scrolling at the bottom of the screen right now. So go ahead and join it. Nightbot also has been posting it in the chat.
And if you haven't,
meet us over there.
And if you haven't joined, what are you doing with your life? Do better. Okay, that's my joke.
That was good. Short and sweet.
Yeah.
And JP says, "Gotta say good night. Thanks for a great stream. Cannot wait for the Orville season 3. Me and you both, man. I cannot wait."
Well, thanks for coming by.
I'm glad you came and enjoyed me and Nerds talk.
Yeah, I've been hearing this. Random people are saying, "Oh, you have such a soothing voice," and I've never been told that in my life.
Brian, you have such a soothing voice, bro.
I'm rolling my eyes right now.
When I watch those Resident Evil game streams, man, the narration could definitely be for IGN. You got it.
Oh, don't compare me to them.
True. But you're that professional, is what I mean to say.
And I'm not political either, so.
I mean, if anything, I try to avoid politics in my streams because
it's by its definition it's divisive, and I'm not a fan.
And I'm trying to bring everybody together here. I'm also, just to put some disclaimers, I'm not trying to gatekeep. If you guys are watching Star Trek for the first time and you want to see the Kurtzman stuff and make your own judgment, do that. I encourage that. I definitely encourage that.
You might like the pew pew action, I mean, if you like lens flares, if you like shaky cam, it's very modern. It's very modern. Will it age well? No, in my opinion. So,
Well, is there anything you want to shout out? Any Resident Evil or new reviews coming out?
well, I mean, I just did a Nerdporial Direct. I mean, the Nerdporial Direct I had at the end of my thing video, but I decided to make it its own video because not everybody, likes the thing and is interested. So I made a Nerdporial Direct. It's basically a play on the Nintendo Direct, where Nintendo talks about what projects it has and when they're going to come out. So I have my own little Nerdporial Direct of what projects and videos I'm going to be doing from now until the end of the first quarter of 2022. So I'm practically incorporated at this point.
Okay.
The only thing I need is money. The only thing I need is to get paid.
Hey man, set up a GoFundMe. I'll make sure a bunch of people go donate.
But
we'll do a charity stream.
I'm probably gonna do a Christmas one to donate to a particular charity or something.
Same here. I want to do a veteran stream.
I have not put the thought into it, but I'll have to find something to something for kids, something to help kids and stuff. But speaking of this in the terms of the Orville, I am going to do a layman's guide to the Orville shortly before season 3 starts. So I want to get one out at the latest, at least a week before the season 3 of the Orville starts.
But you got till March 10th, brother. You got this.
Yeah. So, and I have a lot of videos in between. I'm going to do some Christmas reviews. Charlie Brown Christmas is one. What's funny is, speaking of Charlie Brown, I bought my buddy, who has been on my streams, my buddy Marty. I bought him a shirt, I think, that has the Star Trek characters, but with the Peanuts characters, but in Star Trek uniforms. I think it's awesome. I think it's totally awesome.
Yeah, if you guys haven't heard that, definitely go to Nerdporal's channel and check out his layman guides on the Orville. That will be out a week before the season 3 premieres. So if you guys are new to the Orville or just want to kind of gather your thoughts on what might happen in season 3, go check out his layman's guide. So subscribe to TheNerdporalLifeform. Link is below in the description. And
my next video is going to be the celebrating 40 years of Donkey Kong and how it's basically created how it helped basically create the video game industry. So
when are you doing that?
That's my next video. So I want to get that done before we're all around Thanksgiving. So I'm going to be off.
I'll watch that.
Week, so I'm going to have a lot of time to work on it. So I just have to do research and, of course, write and then start writing. So,
well, I want to thank you again, Mr. Brian, for coming by today. It was always, like usual, a blast to have you here.
Well, thank you.
And I want to thank Mr. Oh, I will. I still need to buy your T-shirt, bro.
I have to add. I want to add if I add a back. I'm going to add a back side for my Nerdporial. I have to add a silhouette of Spock because Spock is iconic, and I want to look very good on the Nerdporial guy. That's why I call him. The Nerdporial guy.
I'm a Nerdporial guy. Okay.
Now you are.
I like that. I'm definitely gonna grab one of your T-shirts. Cool. But I also want to thank Mr. Whoopa Trooper for coming in today as well, buddy. Thanks for popping in. And Black Dragon, Leia Rose, Son of a Red Shirt, Pacific 414, Alan Copland, JP, and if there's anyone else I'm forgetting, I hope not, John, Admiral Saval, the Star Wars guys. It was all great to see you here today. Thanks for popping in. Captain Robert, always great to see you, buddy. Locutus, Daryl the Derelict. Man, we had a lot of people today. I'm glad you all came and enjoyed this conversation with me and Brian talking about the Orville Season 3. But as always, stay nerdporial, live long, and prosper.
Take care.
Welcome to the galaxy.